I want you to think about something with us for a moment. What if the biggest stories we tell, the myths that really define a culture, aren't just stories?
What are their delivery systems?
Exactly. Delivery systems for these secret psychological codes.
And we call those codes symbols. Understanding them is, well, it's probably the fastest way to get to the core of human consciousness.
Today we are doing a deep dive into the work of Dr. Vidya Kamat, who really digs into this very relationship between visual symbols and mythology.
And we're going beyond just describing things. We want to understand the mechanism. How do these abstract psychological needs become tangible things, things that repeat across thousands of years and all over the world?
Right, so our mission today is to explore why we're so often called Homo symbolicus, the symbolic human. We're going to focus on one really ancient universal concept.
The idea of the center.
The center and its physical form, the vertical pillar, the skamba. We're essentially asking, why do we build so many things that just point up?
And the answer, as we'll see, has everything to do with our need to escape the constant pressure of linear time.
This should be fun. We're going to try and connect these big ideas, the psyche, myth, to real things you can see and touch.
From the collective unconscious straight to ancient pillars and ritual dances.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Dr. Kamat poses this really fundamental question. Can a myth even exist without a symbol?
And the argument is probably not. I mean, it's a resounding no, really.
And the best way to see that is through a classic Zedic story, right? The battle between Indra and Vritra.
Right. If you just look at the bare bones of the story, it's pretty simple. A hero, Indra, fights a monster, Vritra. He wins, and it rains.
Okay, sounds like a folktale.
And that's all it would be, just a simple folktale, if Vritra were just some random demon. But it becomes a myth, a profound myth, because of what Vritra symbolizes.
And the clue is hidden in the name itself.
Absolutely. The etymology, the root of Vritra is Vrit. It means to cover, to hold, to contain water. Vritra is literally the encloser.
Ah, so he's not just a monster. He's this cosmic force of stagnation. He's holding back the life-giving waters.
Exactly. And that symbolic meaning is what turns a simple brawl into a story about freeing the very flow of existence.
So that's the critical difference then, a symbol versus a sign.
Mm-hmm. A sign is simple. A stop sign means stop. It has one literal meaning.
It just is what it is.
Right. But a symbol is different. It's a token that kind of, it hints at something deeper. It both hides and reveals meaning at the same time.
It's the tip of the iceberg.
That's a perfect analogy. And people have been thinking about this for a long time. This isn't a modern idea.
You're talking about someone like Yasaka way back in 7th century BCE India.
I am. Yasaka was essentially doing cognitive linguistics.
Wow.
He was categorizing stories, itihasa, mantra, and he realized something crucial.
What was that?
That you can't just read the story. To really get it, to get the deep cosmic message, you have to unlock the etymology of the word symbols inside it.
That recognition that symbols are the basic building blocks, that brings us to who we are as a species.
It really does. It's why we're Homo symbolicus. We seem to be the only species that can create and share these complex, explicit symbols.
So studying myth is really just studying the human mind.
In a collective sense, yes. And that's where you have to bring in Carl Jung.
Right. Jung came after Freud, but he took things in a different direction. He was less focused on the individual and more on these inherited structures of the mind.
His huge contribution here is the collective unconscious. He basically proposed that underneath all our personal memories and baggage, there's a deep, shared psychological reservoir.
A storehouse.
A storehouse of blueprints for symbol making for the entire human species. We're born with these patterns already inside us.
Okay, I think I get the mechanics of it, but what's the actual function? Why does our unconscious mind even bother producing these things like dragons or pillars?
Because the symbol is the mind's great reconciler. When your conscious mind is struggling with two opposites, say life and death or chaos and order, the unconscious generates a symbol.
And that symbol acts like a bridge between them.
It acts like a bridge, exactly. It resolves the tension and lets you create a new, more whole understanding.
Which perfectly explains his famous line about dreams and myths.
Mm-hmm. Dreams are the myths of the individual.
And myths are the dreams of a society. They're two sides of the same symbolic coin.
And the reason some symbols have such staying power, why they appear everywhere, is because they are multivalent.
Multivalent, meaning they have many layers.
The many, many layers. A single visual symbol can hold, 20 or even 30 different meanings all at once.
Wait, 20 or 30, wouldn't that just be confusing? How does adding more meanings make the idea clearer?
Because it makes it incredibly robust, makes it flexible. If a symbol only means one thing, it's fragile, it's easy to forget or misinterpret.
I see.
But if a symbol like the kalasha, the ritual pot, can mean the womb, the navel, creation, and prosperity all at the same time.
That it speaks to everyone in the society, no matter who they are.
Exactly. It becomes resistant to decay. Its density is what makes it so powerful and so memorable.
A psychological super tool. Okay, that makes sense. And that complexity brings us straight to the big one for today, the center. Why is this idea of finding and marking the center so important everywhere?
Well, this is where the symbolic need crashes right into a practical one. For early humans, the world was just a chaotic, undefined mess, profane space.
So they needed to create structure.
They needed to create time and space itself, and the only way to do that is to pick a point and say, this is here, this is the center, and everything else is oriented from this spot.
So consecrating a sacred space isn't arbitrary. It's about reenacting the creation of the world right there on that spot.
You're ritually repeating the primal happening. And that physical act has a huge impact on how you experience time.
Oh.
It pulls you out of linear time, clock time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and puts you into cyclical time.
Sacred time.
A time you can return to again and again through ritual. The symbol is basically a vehicle for time travel. It lets you go back to the beginning.
A symbol as an exit ramp from history. I love that. And the main physical symbol for this center is the universal pillar, the skamba.
In the Vedic texts, the skamba isn't just a pole. It's practically a deity. It's worshipped as the first center, sometimes seen as even greater than the gods themselves.
Because it made the gods possible in the first place.
Precisely. It connects back to that core creation myth where earth, prithvi, and sky, dais, were locked in an embrace. No room for life.
Until Indra separates them.
He separates them. And in that moment, he effectively becomes the cosmic pole standing between them, creating the axis of the world.
And people don't just tell the story, they act it out. That's the Indra Dwaja festival, isn't it?
It is. The whole community comes together, they plant this decorated pole right in the center, and they dance around it. They are ritually rebirthing their own cosmos.
It's an act of renewal. And this theme, this vertical ascension, you see it everywhere.
Absolutely everywhere.
So let's look at some examples. In India, you can't really talk about pillars without starting with the Ashokan pillars.
Right. Some of the earliest freestanding pillars we have recorded there. And they weren't just for posting rules. They were markers of sacred geography, a political statement using a much older sacred symbol.
Okay, now let's jump over to Egypt, the Decode pillar. This one is all about life, death, and resurrection.
The Decode myth is incredible. Osiris is killed, his coffin gets enclosed by a magical tree, his wife Isis finds the tree, and she has the king make it into a pillar for his palace.
The Decode, which looks a bit like a backbone.
It's stylized to look like a backbone. And when they ritually erect that pillar, raise it from horizontal to vertical, Osiris is reborn.
So the pillar is literally the mechanism of rebirth. It connects the horizontal state of death to the vertical state of life.
Yes, and it ties that directly to the agricultural cycle. The cutting of the corn is death. Its regrowth in the spring is rebirth. New life is always a vertical act.
And you see the same idea, maybe in a more festive way, with the maypole in Europe.
A direct parallel to the Indra Dwaja. You plant a pole in the village center in the spring, you dance around it, you celebrate renewal. It's the same fundamental pattern.
And it doesn't just have to be a grand state-sponsored thing. What about on a more local, tribal level?
A great example is the Birkwar poles of the Ahir tribals in Bihar. The myth is that a shepherd was killed by a tiger, and his buffalo told the villagers to erect a pole to honor his spirit.
Okay, but what's different about where they place these poles?
They're often put on boundaries, the edge of the village where the fields meet the forest. These are liminal, in-between, dangerous places.
So the pole acts as a kind of spiritual guard post.
It's a vertical axis of protection, a channel for the spirit that also keeps the chaos of the outside world out.
So whether it's the center of the cosmos or the edge of the village, the job is the same. To bridge two different states. We see this so clearly in the Vedic Yupa, the sacrificial pole.
The yupa was this octagonal wooden pole, and it was explicitly called a vehicle for ascension during the sacrifice.
And this wasn't just a metaphor. People literally climbed it.
In one specific rite, yes.
Hmm.
The yajamana, the person sponsoring the sacrifice, would physically climb to the top of the pole. And from up there, he'd declare, "Now I am in heaven. I have met the gods."
Wow, that's not just believing in a symbol, that's fully embodying it.
It's a literal physical act of transcendence.
And you see the same function with the ladder of ascent. Like in Jacob's dream, a ladder connects heaven and earth.
And in tribal funeral rites, they'll often place a ladder next to the deceased, and a priest will guide the spirit up the rungs to the next world.
And then,
Then on the 12th day, they chop the ladder down. They sever the connection so the spirit can't come back.
so whether it's a huge stone pillar, a wooden pole, or a simple ladder, there's one rule.
It has to be placed at the navel of the earth, the center point, the one place where heaven and earth can actually meet.
So this is what it all boils down to. This universal symbol, the vertical axis, is our psychological tool for a breakthrough.
Every act of ascent, whether it's up a pillar, a holy mountain, even up through the chakras in your own body, it's a breakthrough to another level of reality.
So the ultimate function is to help us get past the ordinary, profane conditions of life, to enter sacred space and sacred time.
It's about making life meaningful. And it's so important to remember Joseph Campbell's point here, which Dr. Kamat's work supports. These symbols aren't invented by some committee.
They're not designed.
They are the spontaneous productions of the human psyche. They bubble up from the collective unconscious, and a culture accepts them because they answer a deep, shared need for meaning.
So we started with a simple story about a god and a monster, moved through Jung's theories about the mind, and ended up looking at monuments all over the world.
All of them connected by this single, spontaneous idea of the vertical center. It really is the language of our deepest human needs.
So if these ancient collective symbols are what help us experience sacred space and escape that trap of linear time, here's a final thought for you to take with you.
What symbols in your modern world, and they might be secular, they might be corporate, they might be political, what structures are trying to do that same job? What's trying to connect you back to a cyclical, primordial sense of time, even if you don't consciously realize it? They might not be stone pillars, but that symbolic function, it's still there.